I'm Doug Schoen. I'm here with my friends and colleagues John LeBoutelier and Pat Cadell. We're talking political insiders, 7:30 Sunday nights, Fox News Channel. Pat, what do you make of a poll of millennials that says that government is inefficient and wasteful? 2/3 saying it, 42% said it 5 years ago. What are the broader implications for American politics?
The broader implications are the American people, particularly young people. And if you look at those numbers, that's quite an increase from less than half to 2/3, who watch a government that's ineffective, that's dysfunctional, and basically has nothing to say to them. And that they're not alone, but their movement is the most significant. And what has made them more independent, more looking against parties, as are most people in the country.
John, what do you think?
Well, I'd like to ask Pat, because I agree with that. And the three of us seem to be similar on this. You've started this movement called We Need Smith, and we've talked briefly about it, but where are we at with this? Who is Smith?
That's a good question. Smith could be anyone. So this is the idea that we need new people in politics.
Why don't you explain?
Let me start by explaining that we did, for 6 months, I've been involved in a massive research project, looking at the question of whether there's an alternative politics available in the country. And alas, which is no surprise to any of us, we've talked about a long time. There is a massive, never have I seen the numbers like this, of discontent and alienation in the country, and a willingness to consider someone who essentially runs against the dysfunction, runs on common sense reform, of fixing the government first, and of also a common sense issue platform. Smith, when we tested the proposition of a candidate who spoke to a country, remember, where 89% of the people believe the Democrats and Republican leaders of their government essentially are feathering their own nest at the expense of the American people. 89%, and number after number like that, and who believe that the politics they're being served up has nothing to do with them. And somebody comes along, and you even have this hypothetical candidate Smith. Candidate Smith can win anything. Wins as a Democrat, wins as a Republican.
Let's put up the full screen with the web address for Smith.
And people should go and take the test there. We have a quiz. It's
we need Smith.com.
We need Smith. Go there, take the quiz. See where people come out. Then look at the result. The first thing we need to tell the American people is they're not alone. Here's the major point, Doug, and I'd love to hear your response to it, is we're talking about a different paradigm. We have a political class that says, here's politics. Democrats, Republicans, we talked about it, about border issues and others. Everything is divided on what moves a small number of people. Well, there's a whole thing that unifies people. Let me tell you what's undergirding it. A belief the American dream is dying. Today there was a report from a major study in a company. There will be a 9% loss of real income for this country over the next decade, it's being estimated. And this is the idea you help future generations. Americans are going, who's going to make our country better again? And when no one speaks that politically, because all of it is, let me get you.
Let me, to conclude this segment, do something I haven't done, which is, in these brief segments as a host, I've not editorialized. But let me take a minute or so and do that. In the 70s, there were insurgencies in the Democratic Party. McGovern, Carter, a variety of Senate and House candidates. They were organized, initiated, and conceived in large measure by Pat Cadell. When I saw Gary Hart, certainly. When I saw David Axelrod a couple of years ago, he looked at me, smiled, and said, Doug, you're okay. Pat Cadell's the most dangerous man in America. So I would say to you, viewers of Political Insiders and our friends, keep watching. We will be doing more about dysfunction, anger, cynicism, and the Smith candidacy, because Pat Cadell is back. He's roaring like a lion with a new vision, a new plan. And between Pat, myself, and particularly John LeBoutelier, who's had a few insurgencies of himself in the past and has a few more in his bag of tricks, I urge you to watch Political Insiders, Sunday night, 7:30.
As we become the voice of the outsiders.
We are the voice of the outsiders and change against a sclerotic, rotting system. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good.